Joining me right now is Nebraska Congressman Don Bacon. He is a member of the House Armed Services Committee and a retired Air Force Brigadier General. Congressman, great to see you today. Thanks very much. How would you assess the help, the aid that is going to Ukraine from the U.S. and allies?
I think they're getting most of the aid that they need now, but it was late. We should have given better air defense weapons before the invasion, the MiG-29s, aircraft. We should have given them anti-shipping weapons before the invasion. That could have created a deterrence to Putin's decision to invade. And I would say the decision to resupply after the invasion was slow. I think we're at about 90 or 95%. I would still do the MiG-29s because you got to find a way to target these tanks and convoys. Surface-to-air missiles don't allow you to do that. But we are providing better surface-to-air missile capability, and the Ukrainians surely need that. So I think we've been slow, and I think some of the quality of weapons we were slow to give those to, but now we're starting to do so.
Yeah, I mean, there has been so much criticism on the Biden administration for walking this slow approach to the aid for Ukraine. Maybe that's one reason we saw a whole lot of rhetoric this weekend from Joe Biden. Here's what he said about Vladimir Putin, which, of course, went around the world. Watch.
We will have a different future, a brighter future, rooted in democracy and principles, hope and light, of decency and dignity, of freedom and possibilities. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
Mr. President, do you want Putin removed? Mr. President, were you calling for regime change?
No.
Yeah, so what do you make of it, Congressman? He said this man cannot remain in power, which triggered the White House to walk it back and saying, no, he was not calling for regime change.
Well, Joe Biden is a rapid-fire gaffe machine. I mean, he had 3 of them this week where the White House had to come back and clean it up. So This was the more serious one. He should have stayed on script. Or when he went off script, the White House staff probably didn't need to come in within minutes to try to fix it or clean it up. It was embarrassing. The leader of the world, free world, and they're having to frequently correct his comments. But this wasn't the only one. Earlier in the week, he said that U.S. troops are going to Ukraine, so they had to clean that up.
Yeah, right.
He said if the Russians used bio and chemical weapons, that we would respond in kind. Well, then we had to correct that. And so he is not good off the script, and it creates turbulence because our allies, like France in this case, found the comment very repugnant about trying to replace Putin in power. And so this comes with a price, and he needs to have calm discipline. You've learned when you're an executive or a general, which I was, you better have good communications discipline and stay on message.
Well, in the middle of all of this, General, you've got the U.S. working to get the country back into an Iran deal. As you know, Russia negotiating on behalf of the U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken attended a rare summit between Israel and Arab nations today, trying to reassure Middle Eastern allies about this looming Iran nuclear deal. For weeks, we've been hearing a deal is close to completion. The White House has not told us anything about it. Florida Congressman Michael Waltz joined me yesterday with his take. Listen to this.
Number one, if Iran gets a bomb, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and the rest of the Middle East will want one as well. We'll have an arms race in the Middle East. Number two, we're already seeing Iran's proxies, the Houthis out of Yemen, attack global oil supplies. They just launched a missile yesterday into a refinery in Saudi Arabia. So literally, as we're about to unleash billions by lifting sanctions that'll flow into Iran, it's going to flow right out of Tehran out to its terrorist proxies that are then attacking Iran's competitors in terms of oil to force the world to buy more Iranian oil. And the second place that money is going to go will be to Moscow.
Congressman, what about that? Could this administration justify getting into the Iran deal, getting back in now? They're bombing the United Arab Emirates. The Houthis are. They're backed by Iran. They bombed an Aramco facility in Saudi Arabia over the weekend. The Houthis are backed by Iran. This administration wants Iranian oil back on the market to help with gas prices, but should we be cozying up to the largest sponsor of terrorism?
Well, first of all, I agree with the sentiments of Mike Waltz. a very smart individual, a great coworker and colleague. But first of all, it's ludicrous that Joe Biden is relying on Russia, Putin, to be the intermediary between us and Iran. I mean, it's the definition of stupidity, in my view. You can't trust either one. And in this deal that we're making with Iran, it comes with a sunset clause on a nuclear program. So what we're basically doing, we're legitimizing a future nuclear program for Iran, which is a total red line for Israel, obviously. And it could lead to war, maybe not this year, but 5 years down the road or something. And we got to be thinking farther out than just this year. And allowing billions of dollars to go to Iran, the world's leading exporter of terror, is also the definition of stupidity. They're going to be arming these militias in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and their whole goal is to destabilize the Sunni Arab states. So what you're going to see, this agreement will undermine us with the Arab countries and Israel, and will strengthen an adversary with Iran.
Well, it's pretty extraordinary, and obviously that's why they're not telling us anything about it. They're just moving forward. Congressman, thanks very much for weighing in on all of that. Dangerous times for sure. Congressman Don Bacon joining us. We'll see you soon, General. Thank you. We'll be right back. Stay with us.